Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is now officially on the Steam Deck, and although it is not listed as being supported, I can tell you after playing for many hours, the game works and runs fine on the Steam Deck. Hey gamers, welcome back to the channel once again. If you guys are finding me for the very first time, please do me a favor, smash that thumbs up and subscribe button. Welcome to a new segment here on the channel called Steam Deck Unloaded, where I take games like, that's right, Crisis Core Reunion, where I go over some of the best settings for games so you guys can spend more time playing and a lot less time in the options. Now, I picked up Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion about a week ago on the PlayStation 5, but I pre-ordered the Steam Deck version, or the Steam version, well over 2 weeks ago. Well, now it's finally been released. I spent all day playing it yesterday, and I came up with a lot of different settings options. So if you are someone who wants to play at the highest resolution with the best textures, or maybe someone who wants to play at a higher frame rate, don't worry, I have you covered in this video. So I tested this game out in many different modes, whether it be handheld mode, desktop mode. So we're gonna start with 60 frames per second in handheld mode. So what I did was I put screen mode into Windows, dropped the resolution down to 1152 because the screen on the Steam Deck doesn't go that high anyway. So I just dropped it down that much. And then I, of course, went into graphics custom, having the textures down to medium and the shadows down to low. And I ran it just fine at 60 frames per second. It dips down to maybe a 59, 58. But if that is something that bothers you, then you can easily just go back to textures and just put the textures down to low as well. Now, the setting that I've been using the most in handheld mode is the 30 frames per second mode. And again, I have the screen mode to full screen, screen resolution to 1280 by 800, 30 frames per second, of course, and then I have all the graphics and textures up to high, and it works fantastic. It's a steady 30 frames per second, and when you're playing in handheld mode, you really don't notice that it's not 60 frames per second because it's such a smooth experience. And I found out that this has been my default handheld mode setting. Also, something I want to point out is you want to go into your actual Steam Deck settings and make sure you cap that off as a locked 30. That way it doesn't really force the game to go any higher than the 30 frames per second, which is just going to give you a much more smoother experience when playing the game. Now, like a lot of you watching, I like to play my games in dock mode. I want to play my games on the big screen. So how does the game perform on the big screen? And it actually performs quite well. I did a little bit of live streaming with it. You can change the settings and put it at 1080p with a 30 frames per second, or you can just drop it down to 720p, put the textures up to medium with the shadows down to low, and you will get a great 60 frames per second with a couple dips here and there. I personally played it in desktop mode for a while with these settings, and it doesn't look awful, but it plays very well. But you can also sacrifice that if you decide you want to go to 30 frames per second. You can always up the textures. It's really going to be based on your preference. What do you prefer? Do you prefer a smoother frame rate? Do you prefer better graphics? Because that's really going to come up to you and your personal preference. Me personally, when I'm playing docked, I rather have a smoother experience, so I don't mind losing a few textures here and there. I think textures at the medium setting works just fine. So these are just some of the settings that I've been playing with that I wanted to share with you guys. So if you are someone who picked up Crisis Core, yes, it is supported. You're going to have to probably run it under Proton, though. I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video because I did run it under Proton. You just use Proton to force it to launch. And once you're in there, any of the settings that I've listed in this video will work just fine for you, depending on whether you're looking for frame rate over resolution and graphics quality. Just keep that in mind, and I hope you guys enjoy playing the game as much as I am playing the game. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please do me a favor, smash that thumbs up and subscribe button. And until next time, as always, I am Robert Storms, and thanks for watching.